How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 10th of March 2022. So I wanted to discuss cryptocurrency regulation in today's episode. And again, it's going to be kind of podcast style. A member of the community reached out to me and asked me to go over this topic. And I think it's an important topic. So, I've kind of put some notes together and I'm going to go through my kind of take on this. Now, I want to preface the video by saying I'm in no way an expert, on any type of regulation, especially cryptocurrency regulation. But I also want to say that cryptocurrency regulation is an evolving thing. I do believe at some point this is going to be, something that's going to come into the forefront. I do believe it's, going to be an ongoing process, and I want to focus kind of what this could look like in the future. Because ultimately right now, things are up in the air. There are little pieces, of a puzzle. We're getting small snippets here and there, of cryptocurrency regulation being introduced or trying to be introduced. We hear things from the SEC. We hear a little bit from the FCA over here in the UK. And, it's kind of all over the place. There's nothing concrete. And then in terms of kind of taxation, there's some things from HMRC, there's some things from the IRS. There's a lot of confusion in terms of, how cryptocurrencies, are going to be taxed in terms of staking, for example, or reflections that we get and so on. So there's a lot of these types of things in terms of regulation, taxation, and so on in the cryptocurrency sphere that we just don't know. We just don't know at the moment. And again, they are going to be coming into, the forefront, and it is definitely something that we all need to be keeping an eye on. Now, we need to remember, like I said, that this is going to be an ongoing process, okay? And it is going to take some time. Now, the one thing I do know about regulation, and I think we can all agree on this, is that they spring it on you very quickly. And they do it in a very sneaky way. They will throw a little, they'll throw a little something out there. They'll say, what do you think to this? And we're thinking about doing this and we're focused on this or so on. But they do it in a way where they're not really pushing it on you, And then all of a sudden out of the blue, it's like, well, there's, the cryptocurrency market's been regulated. And you're like, what just happened? And this is where I think it's important that we start to really pay attention to what's going on. Now, I've actually started, it's quite incredible that this person reached out to me and asked me to do this video, because today was the day that I actually posted a video in my Discord. The link is in the description if you want to jump over into the Discord. But I actually posted a video in the Discord today I posted a video from a YouTuber who was talking about, HMRC taxation of cryptocurrency in terms of staking, how that kind of works. Or how it could look in the future. So I kind of thought, you know what, definitely going to start paying attention to, to regulation. I know obviously that Biden signed an executive order, and what's going on, in terms of regulation over there in the US, how that's, obviously a thing now, and we're going to have to start keeping an eye on that. So like I said, my views, and what I'm going to be discussing today are based on, my experience. They're not based on actual regulatory frameworks. And this is something that I want to really kind of emphasize as I'm going through this video and talking about some of the key ideas I'm going to be talking about, because it's based on experience of what at least I've seen in terms of, some of the things that I've experienced throughout my life, and some of the avenues that I've been involved in terms of insolvencies, bankruptcies, that sort of thing, and how regulation plays a role in these, in these industries, and how they change, and how some of the way in which they change in the timeframes, that they take to change and so on. So I'm going to kind of come at it from an experience standpoint, and I kind of view, on cryptocurrency and what I want to see from it. Okay. So ultimately, if we start from that standpoint, what exactly is the viewpoint of cryptocurrency? Yeah. When we look at cryptocurrency as a whole, The whole point of cryptocurrency can be put down, or at least reduced to one single word, and that's freedom. The whole point is to give people freedom, right? If you look at every aspect of cryptocurrency from start to finish, it all kind of boils down to the same thing: freedom of being able to control and have control over your own finances. When you have that one, controlling entity that is able to flick a switch and just turn off your finances whenever they feel like it, this is something that it makes you feel that you are not in control of your finances. I'm not saying that they would do that. Obviously, we go about our daily lives, we do our daily things, we buy, we sell, we deposit money, we take money out of the banks, and so on. There would be no reason for example, my bank to flick a switch and freeze my assets, for example. But the mere fact that the ability is there means that they have some element of control, right? So when we bring it back to cryptocurrency, it's about freedom. I have a decentralized wallet, for example, Trust Wallet or MetaMask, and I have the ability to hold that cryptocurrency completely devoid of any centralized entity, and I can do whatever I want with that. Okay, and I have the security with my phrases and everything, and that's down to me. I can put that away, stick it on a device somewhere, disconnect it from the internet, and I have complete total control over my portfolio. Okay, and I know there will be some that will say, yeah, but you can't really use it. What are you going to do with it? There's only so much you can do with it. You still have to convert it back to fiat and so on. I understand all of this, but I'm trying to really emphasize this idea of cryptocurrency and the freedom that will bring if we maintain what we have and try to move forward with this freedom idea and financial freedom idea of cryptocurrency. And if there is regulation that comes in, to try to promote it in a way, and if it's even possible, help to promote it in a way that it is focused in the right direction, scammers and so on, as opposed to taxation and that kind of avenue, which we'll get to in a little while. So so we kind of focused on in this respect what we want to see from cryptocurrency. We want to see that kind of freedom kept. We want to see our financial freedom through cryptocurrency maintained. We don't want that taken away from us, okay? But what we don't want to see, okay, and this is where I believe regulation, okay, and how this will change the expression of financial freedom, is we don't want to see regulation taking this freedom, putting it in a box and saying, okay, we have you here and we can flick that switch, which is ultimately what it's really all about. And the narrative of why regulation is needed, and this is what we're told, is like, it's about scammers. We see too much scamming. It's about safety. It's about ease of engagement. We're trying to protect you and so on. Well, we don't really need protecting, in the sense that some of these, cryptocurrency pioneers are some of the most smartest people on the planet, okay, who have brought some of the most amazing technologies, and advances in technologies, known to man. You look at the metaverse and some of the insane stuff that's going on there. We don't need protecting. We've got maybe 1,000 Tony Starks running around. So we don't really need protecting in that sense. Yeah. What we need is a regulatory framework around scammers, safety in the sense of, protecting, ourselves from scammers, from fraud, from the things of this nature. And the way that we do this is through education. We don't do this through chastising people by saying, okay, we're going to stop you from doing this, and we're going to stop the masses from being able to do this. Because what happens is, if you say, here's 1 million people that are all engaging with the cryptocurrency space, and the only way that we can stop scammers is to basically stop the whole million people, okay, by doing this, this, and this. That doesn't help, because you're putting everybody into a box and saying, you're all the same effectively. And that's not the way. But if, say, and I don't know that this would ever happen, but let's say a regulatory body came along and said, we're going to try something a little bit different this time. We're going to speak to the cryptocurrency market, and we're going to say, we're going to engage with them. We're going to try and get some ideas together, and we're going to try to educate the million, instead, and say, this is what happens. Okay. These people who are new to the market, we're going to really educate them. We're going to say, this is what you need to be aware of. These are some of the things that happen. And once that education has been done, this is what you need to do to stay safe. Once that's been done, then the people who are in this space put safeguards in place. And you know what the most insane thing out of all of this is? The cryptocurrency space itself actually has the answers to self-regulate itself and stop things like scamming, to promote safety, to make ease of engagement better, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, but unfortunately, it allows itself to be open to some of these, scams and safety leaks and so on. And unfortunately, these are kind of perpetuated and made worse, by, social media platforms and everything else. And I know I'm kind of going off on a little bit of a rabbit trail, but ultimately, to kind of bring it back to the whole regulation idea, and I think what I'll do, just kind of as a quick side note, as I start to research regulation, I think what I'll do is I want to kind of really focus in on actual points now. What's actually happening. Look at each one, focus on kind of key elements, and then see how they will affect, the cryptocurrency market, specifically, because right now I'm just kind of giving you my thoughts based on, my life experience, and what I think regulation could do to the space, as opposed to here's a specific regulation that could potentially be coming into the market, and this is how it's going to impact this, and this. So I'm going to make a conscious effort. I'm really going to go out of my way to look at the regulatory space, really look into it, start to look at some of the key areas and how this could affect everything. And then when I, have gathered enough information, that I think is, informative and something that I can definitely kind of bring to the community, I'll kind of do more videos like this. So going back to what I was saying in terms of, kind of the narrative of why regulation is needed, that's kind of what we're told. But to go back to what I was saying, the cryptocurrency space itself has enough intelligence to fix these problems anyway, to be fair. But the real purpose of regulation, I believe, is, and dare I say this, multiple revenue streams for taxes, really. It's just another way, to kind of plug a hole and stop people from having freedom, of their finances. Now, I want to kind of stop for a second and really emphasize something, because I don't believe that anybody should be dodging taxes, obviously. And I don't believe anybody should be using, cryptocurrency or traditional finance, for nefarious reasons, or for evading taxes, or, for any reason other than just having a normal, pleasant life. Yeah, just be normal, right? Nobody's supposed to be doing any of this crazy stuff. And I think part of the problem is that, unfortunately, there are people in the world who, engage in some of these practices, and, the reason for regulation is needed. They look at these individuals and say, well, here's fraud, and here's insurance fraud, or here's, bank fraud, or here's credit card fraud, and here's cryptocurrency scams, and so on. So now we need to regulate, and so on. And, this is why some of these problems, this is why some of these regulations first came into existence, because this is running rampant, unfortunately, and it's not just in the cryptocurrency market. It is everywhere. We see it, like I said, in fact, just recently, I was the victim of it myself. It wasn't very much. It was only £50 that came out of my, my bank account. But ultimately, yes, I got the money back, fine, whatever. But it's just a massive headache. I don't want to go through that, having to, change all my details again and so on. So it happens. I mean, it definitely happens. And regulation is needed in some respects. But what type of regulation are we talking about? And what is the purpose of this regulation? Is the purpose of this regulation to make the cryptocurrency, space actually safer? Is it really to stop scams? We are trying to do this ourselves, right? We're all aware that there are many projects out there that are currently in the process, including communities, discords, telegram groups, a group of people, groups of communities that are collectively trying to stop scams, stop, some of the madness that happens in this space, right? So we're already actively engaging in, trying to stop this anyway. We also have the communities in the cryptocurrency space that are actively helping charities. They're going out of their way, to help those who are victims of scams, those who are victims, of cancer, those who are victims of war, those who are victims of some of these atrocities that happen in the world, and so on and so on and so on. My point being, the cryptocurrency community as a whole is already actively in these spaces or in these individual places doing all of this stuff anyway. So the regulation itself needs to be specific. It needs to actually focus on the points that it needs to focus on, that don't take away the freedoms for us as those who are in the space, for those who are actively looking, to make the space better. And something else as well that I think is super, super important. Regulation can sometimes strangle innovation, I think. Again, the cryptocurrency space is full of amazing ideas, amazing individuals that are bringing some incredible, innovations, in the world, right? We know this. There's so many projects, so many. You've only got to look at all the blockchains and some of the amazing things that happen on these blockchains, and some of the amazing stuff that's happening in the metaverse, for example, with NFTs and all of these play to earn games and some of this cool stuff that's happening. To know that there's some brilliant minds behind these, these concepts and these ideas. So regulation can sometimes strangle that and kind of really stop that creativity. This is something, again, that we don't want. Okay, so again, the real purpose of regulation, I feel, is it allows larger institutions, again, to control more wealth. It allows more of what we already have, which is what we don't want. The system, or the financial system as it is now, is split into two things. It kind of, unfortunately, favors I don't want to say favors the rich, and this kind of old adage of the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. I try not to say cliches or these kind of the things that we hear over and over and over again, because it just perpetuates the problem, right? I think the better way of saying it is, there are large institutions that take advantage of the smaller guy. We'll say it like that, right? So putting the power back into the into every individual. So the cryptocurrency market allows anybody. There's no barrier to entry to just come in with a small amount of money and to engage, and to learn and to experience and to see finance in a completely different way. And this is what we're trying to preserve. This is what we're trying to, to keep a hold of our freedoms in terms of that financial freedom, and to be able to engage the way that we want to engage, without somebody coming along and saying, well, actually, we're going to have to keep an eye on this particular thing. And if you step over this line, we're just going to have to, kind of turn off your app, So in closing, I will say this. I think it's important that there are some regulatory frameworks, that should be introduced. But I think it's important that they are focused on the right thing, focused on scammers, focused on, safety, but in the right way. And I think they really need to speak to, again, this would probably never happen. These are just loose thoughts, but it would be nice, if those who are super creative and, really sort of proactively trying to make this space better, would speak to the regulatory bodies and kind of really make a difference, to let them know, okay, look, this is where the real problem is. These are the challenges that we are facing in this space. These are the places where you really need to be focused on, with your regulation. Would be nice if that happens. I don't know if it ever will. Maybe I should build a platform. Maybe we should collectively as a community get together and actually build a platform, where we could, sorry, I'm going to stop right now. But yeah, so, again, look, the video itself is more of just me expressing my thoughts and ideas about regulation itself, what I think it means in terms of cryptocurrency, what it could mean, what it couldn't mean. I'm going to kind of close the video here, but ultimately we want to be able to choose how we use our money, no matter what that money looks like or what it's called. That's effectively what it's really all about, and I would prefer, to not have somebody come along and say, well, actually, in a decentralized market, think about this, in a decentralized market, while you're using a decentralized app, we're going to regulate you and not let you do this, and this. That makes absolutely no sense to me. All right. So we need specific regulation, has to be focused on the right areas. And in the future, I'm going to make a conscious effort to actually look at, cryptocurrency regulation that could potentially be coming in, how all of this is going to play a factor going forward. I'm going to do some, pretty extensive research. If anybody has any ideas, what I might do is I might just create a channel in my Discord that I'll just ask people to kind of post links only of just, articles, cryptocurrency regulation articles and things like that. And we can collectively as a community start to look into, cryptocurrency regulation together, and see if we can kind of, make sense of what we all have to look forward to. Okay, we'll say it like that. So with that said, guys, I hope the video is received well. I hope everyone's having an awesome day or evening, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to speaking to you in the next episode. All the best, take care, and remember, stay crypto positive.